Today's game, I think, gives a real warm feeling. It leaves you with a really warm feeling. And it's like so much about like gratitude. It gets you into a really good place of gratitude. You are going to make a list of all the times in your day to day or in the past 3 days that you have felt the sparks of true love. Okay. And right away, that might throw some people off, like sparks of true love. I'm not in love, or I didn't feel any sparks of true love. Sparks of true love are not just about being in deep true love. In fact, if you really need to and start this game because you're having a hard time like fishing down the definition of sparks of true love and you're like, I don't know, then fine, make this a whole life game. Like write down any time in your whole entire life that you've felt the sparks of true love. And then you'll start to get in there and start to get the idea of like, okay, what does sparks of true love really mean? And you'll start to see that they show up, those sparks show up even outside of true love. Like these sparks of true love aren't just about some sort of like romantic thing with some sort of, partner. No, they're like the sparks of true love, like the butterflies when like life felt magic, when you had this like beautiful moment of inspiration, or when you're just like, ooh, I love this, just like this moment, this thing. Those are the sparks of true love. And once you start writing them down, they could be like from all of life, to just kind of get you rolling. You're going to start to see that they show up everywhere. So, I'm sticking by this thing to like start with just everywhere in life. And then we'll get to the where have they shown up in the past 3 days. So even if you think that your past 3 days have been really crappy and you haven't had any moments of like, wow, magic, you can still, once you really get a handle on the sparks of true love idea, find that like, oh yeah, they are in these little places. Like last night when I stepped into the shower and just like felt the warm water for that second, that was some sparks of true love, even though like the rest of the day was awful. Or, the first bite of the ice cream that I had last night, that was some sparks of true love. Or when I had that really funny thought about what my friend did, that was a spark of true love. But, in the other sense, it could be like, or yeah, when I went outside and felt the like cold chill of the air, I didn't love it, but it still was inspiring and gave me this invigorated like deja vu feeling because I realized like, oh my gosh, it's definitely fall. Or, I saw the trees blowing around, or, my dog really pissed me off because it ripped up some of my stuff and I was in such a bad mood. And then for whatever reason, some branch behind my dog as I was yelling at it, like caught my eye. And for a very split second, I just kind of saw the branch and I felt like I was in a photograph, or, it just felt like, ooh, yeah, nature, or ooh, tree, pretty tree, and just had this little spark of true love, this moment of peace or inspiration, or just like this moment of breath where you were just like feeling aliveness. Those are the sparks of true love, because what you're truly in love with is this experience of life, this being alive. That's the spark of true love, and when we are in love with a partner, hopefully, that's because, or my personal theory is that's because you feel so alive in that. You feel so like, wow, now I get it. This is living. This is aliveness. I'm inspired. This is embellishing or like, sort of like increasing my experience of life so much that this is a huge spark of true love. In fact, we'll title this True Love, even though it's not just about romance and partners. It's like sparks of true love are everywhere, man. And seeing them is awesome because then you can get into some real gratitude. And it's like life looks sparkly. If you see lots of sparks of true love anywhere, everywhere, then life can get a lot more sparkly. And yeah, you just start to realize like, oh, if only I just find myself a little spark, I can have some glitter no matter how crappy my day is, So like I said, it's a very deep healing kind of gratitude practice. And they can be big things. Like I, felt so inspired. Like when you first start, it's going to be like the big moments in your life. Like that one birthday that I had where, so-and-so showed or everybody showed, and it just like felt amazing. And I felt the spark of true love. I felt like this is it. This is life. Or that day out by the river when I was sitting on these rocks and I just felt like so deeply inspired. It felt like deja vu. All these ideas kept rushing to me. And I like came up with the idea of what book I want to write. And everything felt like it was going to fall into place. And oh my God, these huge moments of sparks of true love are going to hit first. And great, because you need to know those big giant milestones, those big, big impulses of electricity and those sparks of true love. That's important. But then you can also start to see the little grains of electricity, little tiny little, zaps in there too. And you can see them in your day, even when your day was just yesterday and it seemed really boring and it seemed really bland and it seemed really crappy or whatever, they don't have to just be the big moments, but nailing down those big moments are beautiful and reassuring experiences too. And they totally pulse that life force back into you when you remember them and really step into them. And then use your feelers to be like, okay, now that feeling of, inspiration or like, where did I see it? Even if it was on this small, tiny scale, where did I see those little sparks today? It doesn't have to be like a blast of true love. I mean, those are the ones you'll come up with first. Or like when I saw that comet fall, or, when I finally got that degree I wanted, or, accomplished that thing I wanted and finished my whatever black belt, or, it's like things will show up as those big, giant flashes of true love, explosions of true love, but then you'll get to see where the sparks are. Even in the smallest way, where did I feel that level of aliveness yesterday or today or right now? Where do I feel that? And you can start to see the sparks of true love. And so, long story short, I need to explain it, I feel like, because sometimes you can miss it. If I just like told you, find the sparks of true love, and didn't give you the explanation, you wouldn't have nearly as many of the, just the deeper sort of like possibilities and understandings. We got to flesh them all out. But really, ultimately, the assignment is to do this for 3 days. Today, tomorrow, the next day, or just 3 days throughout this month, whatever. Stop and actually write them down. Don't just scroll them through in your head. You can, that's great. Do it anytime you're sitting in traffic or waiting in a waiting room or whatever. Yeah, scroll them through in your head. But at least 3 days, take the time to write them down so that they're in front of your face. They are on paper. They are made solid and concrete into real words that are readable. Write them down, make them sort of like commemorated, make them solid, make them official, and just write them down so that you could also look back at them. It just gives it a different weight if you actually write them down. But I'm only asking for 3 days, so that's no big deal. And you think of so many more. As your hand is moving and you're writing, 10 more come to you. It just starts to flow. So that process of moving through your hand and letting your spirit sort of move through the writing by hand, not typing process. There's something in it, people have said so for a long time. And I think anybody that tries it would be like, yeah, okay, yeah, there is a little something to that. I did think of more. So anyway, write them down. Sparks of true love, all the sparks of true love for 3 days.